My name's Ella Taylor. I'm 24. In juniors, I got to around 400 ITF, and then my highest WTA ranking was 604 in singles. I competed in America at Louisiana State University for my undergraduate degree, and then I'm currently doing my master's degree now at Loughborough University in the UK. As a junior, I was based at West Hants Club in Bournemouth, and I went to the Talbot Heath School because they had a link with the club there. I competed a little bit in ITFs, but mainly in like the school holidays because I was at full-time school. I competed in all the national events in the UK. I started doing some British tours and things like that as well when I got a bit older. But yeah, most of my tournaments I played in the UK because I was at school full time. I definitely would say I probably had quite a good experience as a junior. There were obviously some hard times, and but I definitely think I learned a lot from those and made me definitely quite a strong player and a person as I went through that. Sometimes funding was difficult, I know, especially in my years, because it was very strong. We had a lot of good players, so there was quite a lot of competition. And that sort of led me into my decision into going to America, really. I made the decision to go to America when I just turned 17, so I went a year earlier than I could have done. I was training at Soto Tennis Academy in Spain, and I sat down quite a lot with my coach at the time, Dan Kiernan, who was an LSU alumni as well. And so he spoke a lot with me. He got me in touch with Sarah, who helped me a lot, just finding out more about the college system because I had absolutely no idea. I had a few friends who were older who were already at university, so I just really tried to speak to as many people as I could. But it was definitely great having Sarah and Dan who knew the colleges and knew the place to be. So they helped me. You know, I knew I wanted to play in the SEC because it was a really strong conference. Yeah, and they were just great in guiding me and helping me with all the paperwork, all that side of things, which definitely made it a lot easier to pick LSU. I definitely found it quite hard when I first went to uni because I had just turned 17. So for me, it was definitely a big change. Like I remember when my dad left me there and I was sort of on my own, it sort of hit me a lot more. But I was very lucky at LSU. There was a few older English boys. Chris Simpson, he looked after me quite a lot and looked out for me, which was really nice. I definitely think some things were as I expected and some things were completely different. For me, moving to Louisiana was, you know, a massive cultural change. The sort of way of life and everything down there is very different to what I was used to. So that was definitely a massive change. But in terms of the studies and the training, I was pretty prepared from talking to Dan and Sarah that, you know, I would be pushed in both of those areas. So for me, a typical day would be having lectures and classes from around about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning to around lunchtime. Then I'd have about an hour or so for lunch, and then I'd be practicing from maybe around 1:30 to about 4 o'clock on court. And then sometimes we would have a running session or a weight session afterwards. So most days I probably wasn't getting back to my apartment until sort of 6:30, 7, which seems like such a long day, but actually when a lot of it's playing tennis, which is what I wanted to do, I was having a great time. It was great being on a team as well. I wasn't sure how I was going to deal with that, with, you know, tennis being so individual, and I was always used to being on my own, really. I definitely found that a bit of an adjustment. I hated saying "Go Tigers" at the start of practices. That took me a long time to get used to it, but then by my senior year I was probably the loudest person on the team, so I definitely embraced that side of things. But for me, going to such a big school like that was so much fun. Football games were the highlight of every weekend, getting to be with all the other athletes, all the other students, and as I made a lot more friends as well, you know, some of my friends on the football team, it was just so much fun to watch them and see them do well. So I definitely think I had probably a really good college experience. I got the best of everything. So I definitely would do it all again if I could. After I graduated at Louisiana State University, I came home and decided to play on the tour for a few years. And then I got glandular fever last year, so that sort of put my tennis on a bit of a back seat. So while I was ill, I was thinking, what else am I going to do? You know, I was a bit lost without being able to play as much. So I got in touch with Loughborough about doing the TAS player coach role up there. And I knew Helen Reesby really well. She used to be my national coach when I was younger, so she's heading everything up at Loughborough. So I sort of reached out to her, went for an interview and got the job there. And then after a year of sitting on the sidelines and coaching the teams, I was definitely missing playing on the team and being out there. So I'd always wanted to do a master's, but I sort of wasn't sure when. And I definitely wanted to do it when I knew I could maybe commit to it a little bit more than when I was in America. My tennis definitely came first. So I decided I wanted to stay at Loughborough. I loved it there, the coaches, the team. I knew that's where I wanted to go. So I decided to start my master's in September last year. In terms of tennis, I was definitely not sure how Bucks would be. Obviously, I'd seen from coaching and sort of being on the sidelines that it was maybe not quite as intense maybe as America, but actually then when I was playing and in it, it was definitely just as competitive, just as intense. I had some great matches with some other girls from other unis who had come to do their masters, and they'd also been in America. And yeah, for me, it was just like being another dual match. I mean, I was definitely just as fist pumping and loud as I was in America. And I know some of my teammates were not sure how to deal with it, but by the end of the season, I definitely got them all involved. Yeah, and I definitely think the level of the university tennis in the UK is definitely improving and increasing. You know, people are really wanting to get, I think, both experiences really. You know, for me, I've had the chance to play in one of the best conferences in America and one of the really good schools, but then I've also been able to do the same in England. So I definitely feel really lucky that I've been able to have sort of both opportunities, and I can sort of have an opinion on both. So for me, when I graduate with my master's, I'm doing it in strength and conditioning. So I definitely want to be in sport and work in, I think, a team sport actually. I've been doing some work with some of the teams at Loughborough, and I definitely have been quite drawn to that sort of team atmosphere. And I definitely probably think from playing university and college tennis, I really enjoy that environment. So for me, yeah, I'd be looking to get a job with a team, working on their S&C with them. I'm not sure maybe if I want to go back to America and work in a college out there, or maybe stay here in the UK or go elsewhere. But I definitely think I've got a lot of options with sport and with working with different teams. So yeah, for me, it would just be finding a team where I can really get stuck in and hopefully help them with the S&C side of things. My main advice would probably be just to talk to as many people as you can. For me, I know a lot of people have had very different experiences in America and in the UK at university. So I think to talk to as many people as possible will help so much, just to get more of an understanding, but also take your visits, go and visit places. I think for me, I probably wish maybe I'd done that more just to get an idea, but I think I was lucky that I only needed 2 visits, because when I stepped on campus at LSU, I knew that was the place I wanted to go to. So don't be afraid if you feel like there's so many schools and you're not sure where to pick, because I definitely think once you step on campus, you know where you're supposed to be. But yeah, just definitely talk to as many people as possible, reach out to people. Like, I know I've had people message me, and I love talking to them about it and answering questions, like for both the US and UK unis. So yeah, I just think reach out to people and get as much information as you can, and also your decision is it won't be wrong. You know, you'll know your gut feeling, so just go with that.